Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone. Myself, Joya Khan, Ambassador of Change from GETI, and your host this morning. Holding the beacon of success, I bring greetings from the entire GETI fraternity as we usher in winds of change with a video which will not only give you a glimpse about our organization, that is Global Education and Training Institute, but also present our constant endeavors and humble initiatives to sum up what Getty is all about. So, here is the video, dear viewers. I hope we were able to give you a sneak peek into the Getty world and what it believes in, that is, the power of change. On this live forum of Detox, dear viewers, we invite bureaucrats, policymakers, motivational and educational speakers from all around the globe as agents of change. So, steering this session ahead, I warmly welcome on board our esteemed speaker for this morning, Ms. Radha Tandon, Director, Prangan Center for Children with Special Educational Needs from Gujarat, who will be sharing her expertise and experience on the topic Autism Spectrum Disorders and Educational Implications. Today, we dedicate our session to the Autistic Pride Day. We really want to uplift and motivate the children who develop language skills at a different rate and a different order from typically developing children. This means they might not understand what you say to them or might have difficulty following instructions. Autistic students' language difficulties, lack of social interaction skills, unusual challenging behavior, learning difficulties, unusual patterns of attention, unusual responses to be happy in a social environment such as a classroom. So, for all these things, we have Miss Radha Tandon to share her views and enlighten us further on this topic. Over to you, Radha ma'am.
Thank you, Joya, for the generous words. And good morning, all of you. Wishing you a beautiful and happy Saturday. Before we begin with this session, I would like to thank Dr. Sunita Gandhi, Managing Director GETI, for taking this initiative to raise awareness amongst people about autism spectrum disorders. As you all know, that today is Autism Pride Day, and Autism Pride recognizes the innate potential of all people, including people coming under the autism spectrum disorders. And the rainbow infinity symbol represents Autism Pride Day, and it also symbolizes the diversity and infinite variations and infinite possibilities. So before we begin with the presentation, I would like to ask all of you, what do you think a child with autism may feel on an ordinary day? For a second, just imagine, that you are in a foreign country and you decide to venture out at night and you lose your way. You find that the streets are crowded. You can't speak the local language. Maybe you're just able to understand a few words. You're unable to comprehend the situation taking place around you. You're wanting to ask for help, but you're unable to do so. So this kind of an experience may help you to relate what a child with autism might feel on an ordinary day. So what is autism? Autism is a lifelong condition that affects social and communication skills, and these people generally see, hear, feel, and experience the world differently from what we might be able to do. And autism is also known as a spectrum disorder. Aristotle, the famous Greek philosopher, he is called humans social animals, and he's recognized the importance of social interactions, of interpersonal relationships in the quality of our lives. But people coming under ASD, this affects the important dimension of our humanity, our ability to effectively interact and communicate with others. And why is it called a spectrum disorder? It's called a spectrum disorder because these people can have a range of symptoms. They might have problems talking to you. They might not look you up in the eye while they're speaking. They might have restricted interests and maybe repetitive behaviors. They may spend a lot of time just putting things in order, or they may, end up saying the same sentence again and again. And what do you feel or see? That, they are just being in their own world. Autism comes from the Greek word meaning self-absorbed. So, like I mentioned, that these children have problems communicating, interacting. They don't like changes in their routine. They can't understand facial expressions or body language, and they think that people say, they think that people mean what they say, and they often end up repeating what others are saying because they feel that is the right way to respond appropriately. But besides all these, there are uh, people who have been very creative in the field of art or music or writing, and they have very well developed vocabularies and they have varied interests. All of you must be familiar with Einstein, a great scientist and mathematician.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me,
Yeah,
ma'am. Pl-
yes,
Please keep
yes.
changing your slides and make it to full screen, ma'am.
This is full screen
Ma'am, your slides are not changing. Kindly scroll them. Thank you.
now. Now, can you see? Julia, can you see them now?
No, ma'am. I can see your side slides. You make it to full screen like we guided you in the beginning that way.
I've done that only. It's full screen.
And they
Wait,
are
I'll
not
try.
even changing, ma'am. You'll have to keep changing them. Thank you so much. Yes, now it is changed.
But then you can see the side this thing, na?
It's
Now,
okay, ma'am. It's okay. Now it's better.
now, ah,
Yes, now
okay,
it's better.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely fine. Thank you so
You
much.
want me to go back, or it's
No,
okay?
ma'am, please continue. Please continue.
Okay,
Thank you so
okay.
much.
So Einstein, as a child, experienced severe speech delays and later echolalia, that is the habit of repeating sentences to himself. But despite this, he was one of the greatest scientists and the most influential physicists of all times. The second picture of is of Satoshi Tajiri, who is the creator of Nintendo's Pokemon, very familiar with small children, a famous video game designer. He also has Asperger's syndrome, that is a form of autism spectrum disorders, and he also has difficulties in interacting socially. Asperger's is, which comes under ASD, is one of the more able ends of the spectrum. And the third picture is of Tim Burton. He's a famous American film director, and he also has Asperger's syndrome. Despite that, he has won several awards. So these are some of the creative geniuses, who have created a name for themselves in various fields, whose autism has contributed to their success. The characteristics that we observe can be from mild to severe. They may have problems with communication, that is, using and understanding language, gestures, facial expressions. So these children are unable to use gestures, like maybe pointing to an object to give meaning to their speech. They often avoid eye contact, and the other person might think that they are being rude or uninterested or maybe inattentive also. So without meaningful gestures or other non-verbal skills to enhance their oral language skills, these children become frustrated in their attempts to express their feelings, their thoughts, and even their needs. So they may act out their frustration sometimes with vocal outbursts or other inappropriate behavior. So I remember this teenage girl, coming to our center, and who was under the umbrella of ASD. And every now and then, her mother would come and discuss things related to the child. And one fine day, when she came, her complaint was that the child had been behaving very aggressively, and there were a lot of emotional outbursts also at home, and aggression was to such an extent that she was throwing things around. And just a day earlier, she had thrown some glass artifact which had hurt the father also badly. During the course of the conversation, the mother also mentioned that she had been scratching her cheek. So I asked her to, go and meet the physician or maybe the dentist. And then, we came to know that she had a severe toothache, which was causing so much of discomfort. She couldn't express herself. That is why this kind of an emotional outburst or an inappropriate behavior. Also, these people have difficulty in relating to, you know, objects and events, and they generally start showing symptoms in infancy or toddlerhood, and sometimes they are not even diagnosed till they are in school. So their problems interacting with others, communicating their thoughts and feelings, and developing relationships greatly impair their social functioning. Also, they take things very literally. literally means to really believe what the other person is saying. So supposing you tell them that wait for a minute, so they might really interpret it as waiting for a 1 minute time period. Other things that are noticeable is unusual play with toy and other objects. So why is play difficult for children coming under the spectrum? These kids generally play differently from other kids, and from a very young age, they're maybe likely to line up objects, play by themselves, repeat the actions over and over again, and they choose other activities over make believe. And why does this happen? Because there is lack of, first thing, imitation skills. So typically, developing children will watch how others are playing with toys and imitate them. You know, for example, a typically developing child may line up blocks at first. Then, if he or she sees another child stacking them up, or creating something with them, then they will imitate that behavior. But a child who's under the spectrum may not even notice that the others are playing with blocks at all. And they are very unlikely to observe the other child's behavior and even imitate them. The other thing is lack of symbolic play skills. Symbolic play is another name for pretend play. And we have all done that as kids. So by the age of 3, most of the children learn or develop fairly sophisticated tools for pretend play, both alone and even with others. So they may use tools as they are designed, like playing house, like we used to do as children, and having a pretend kitchen, using plastic, vegetables and fruits for as food, and then try pretending to eat them or making a meal out of them. Those kind of things. But children who come under the spectrum really develop these skills. They may enjoy maybe placing a toy train on a track, but they are very unlikely to enact scenes or make the sound effects unless they are actively taught to do so and or encouraged to do so. The third is lack of interactive skills. Now, to be successful in pretend play and imitation, uh, typically developing children, they interact and communicate with others, and they also learn to read the intentions of other people. You know, I remember as kids, when if we were doing something which was not right, we would get one stare from our parents, and we would know to stop doing that thing, or to get away from there before we could get a scolding. But children coming under the spectrum have little desire or ability to communicate or engage with their playmates. They may also find joining at in play times or group activities very stressful, and they may not also understand the rules of the game, like which we generally take for granted. So, rules of how close to stand to someone, eye contact, how to start a conversation, how to end a conversation, which is very easy for us. These things may be difficult for children coming under the spectrum. I'm going to show you a video of a small child who's under the spectrum, and then we'll talk about it. So, what do we see in this video? We see that the play skills are very limited, and the child, generally is playing only with these few toys. He's also fixated, to do the same thing again and again. And at times, if parents are not aware of what the problem with the child, they may feel that the child is very well behaved, not too demanding at all, satisfied with just playing with that one toy again and again. The other difficulties that arise could be changes in routine or familiar surroundings. Now, most of these people find changes overwhelming. Consistency, predictability gives these children some kind of a reassurance, if they are able to figure out what is going to happen next. So when changes occur, they may respond in a different ways. You know, maybe exhibiting withdrawal, repetitive behaviors. There might be temper tantrums or even aggression. So it is very important to remember that these behaviors are typically a result of extreme anxiety or an inability to communicate their desires, their emotions, or their needs, like the case for the teenage girl that I had mentioned earlier. Then there are also repetitive body movements or behavior patterns. Now, often children coming under this spectrum can, they will say things which have no context to the conversation that is going on, and that is no meaning. They do not relate to the conversations that they are having with others. For example, a child may start counting from 1 to 5 when the conversation is just not related to numbers at all. Or a child may continuously repeat words that he has heard. So, this condition is known as echolalia. The child may respond also to a question by asking the same question back to you. So if you ask the child whether he or she wants water, so the child will also might say that, do you want something to drink? So these are the kind of characteristics that we observe. Now we move on to educational interventions. That how are these issues treated? The first one is speech and language. So, if a doctor suspects that a child has ASD or any other developmental delay, the first thing he or she will usually do is refer the child to a variety of specialists, including a speech language pathologist who is a professional trained to treat individuals having voice, speech, and language disorders. So, what does a speech language pathologist do? Performs a comprehensive evaluation of the child's ability to communicate, and then thereafter the appropriate treatment program is chalked out. We also teach them to communicate by means of a symbol system. We use a lot of these at our center where pictures are used to convey thoughts. Now, symbols can range from picture boards to cards. There are also sophisticated electronic devices, that generate speech through the use of buttons to represent common items or actions. So you request an item and you get the item. So there is also the picture exchange communication system, that is PEX, and this allows people with little or no communication abilities to communicate using pictures. So they are taught to approach another person, give them the picture of the desired item, and then get that item in return. So what happens when you're doing this? This helps to initiate communication. Also, like I mentioned earlier, they don't like changes in their routine. So, changes have to be managed very carefully for many people coming on the spectrum. And they need a lot of support to transit from one activity to another, from one classroom to another, or even to visit a new place, like supposing there is an appointment with the doctor. So, what we do at the center is provide lots of visual schedules and timers to them so that they can clearly see what is happening and when. And these are the things that help the child to understand the order of daily events, the steps involved in daily living skills, and the daily schedule at school, including any changes that might occur in their routine. Also, you need to allow them extra time to adjust to a change if possible. If you know that your child is going to be upset by the change, then attempt to prepare for a change as much as possible. Supposing you're out at the mall and the child is getting upset with the noises or is getting distracted, return to your car for some time. Allow the child to settle down. Maybe you can help prepare the child for going back to the mall again. So these are the things that we need to take into consideration. Also, we use a lot of social stories to teach concepts, ideas, skills, and behavior. So, this can be a great resource in preparing for change, for an anxiety provoking event, like I mentioned, like going to the doctor's clinic. So, these are short stories with pictures that describe different situations and activities so that the child knows what to expect. Sorry. So I put an example of one of the social stories here, and the title is recess. So every day I go to recess. So you put a picture of a playground. Then I go to recess after lunch. First, I put on my jacket, then I line up. So there's a picture of a child putting on a jacket and then standing in the line. Then, if the weather is nice, I go to the playground. So there's a picture of a sunny day at the playground. Then the next picture is that I can choose to go to the swing, the slide, or the jungle gym. So then you put pictures of children at each piece of equipment. And sometimes I can go straight to my favorite equipment. So there's a picture of a child on the swing. And then after that is sometimes I wait for my turn. So there is a picture of waiting in line at the playground. Then the next is I can choose to play with friends or play alone. So there's a picture of a child playing with others, and there's also a picture next to that of a child playing alone, but then they are doing this happily. Then the next one is when the bell rings, I line up to go inside. So then again the children are lining up. And the last one is recess is a great time for exercise and fun. So then you this picture of happy children at the playground. So these are the kind of teaching aids that you can use for your child also. Now, do you think a lack of skills is a possible symptom of autism? And can you teach your child with autism to play? So the answer is yes in many cases. There are different types of therapies which focus largely on building play skills. And both parents and siblings can take an active role in this process. I've just put examples of some of them. The one of them is the flow time method. So this is a relationship-based therapy that involves playing with the child at their level, and this helps to build emotional connections, helps to enhance communication skills, and this is a structured play therapy. So you see that the little boy and his father are playing with blocks. What you have to do is observe what the child is doing and then join them. The other one is relationship development intervention. So this is a family-based behavioral treatment which addresses the core symptoms of autism, and it focuses on building social and emotional skills. And parents are generally trained as the primary therapist in most RDI programs. So here you can see the little girl and her father are baking cookies. And the another one could be the applied behavior therapy. This is a very personalized approach, and the individual's actual daily activities and routines are taken into consideration, and then the therapist works with the child to try and encourage positive behavior. Then, for repetitive body movements or behavior patterns, what you need to do, the first thing is set the structure. You have to plan your day beforehand, because this will help you to reduce the stress of the child that comes along with change. The other thing that you could do is adjust the environment, because restricted and repetitive behaviors could be a way of the autistic child telling us that there are some sensory stimuli in the environment that the child is not comfortable with. It might be the classroom is too bright, or maybe the chair is not comfortable. There is something that is bothering them in the environment. Maybe there is some noise that is disturbing them. So you need to take care of these things. Then the other educational intervention that we talk about is early intervention. Some of the behaviors can become harder to change as the uh, child grows older or the longer they continue. So what you need to do is set limits from an early age, because some behaviors that might be appropriate for a child may not be appropriate for an adult. And the other thing that can you can do is make use of their interests. So like I said, these children have repetitive behavior patterns. So if the child is obsessively into some kind of an activity or a topic, make use of it. Utilize this obsession to and in to increase their skills. You make use of this interest, because this will help to boost up self-esteem and also socializing. Sometime back I came across this article of a woman by the name of Van Kirk. And as a child, when she was in kindergarten, she noticed a computer in the classroom, and she couldn't keep her hands off it. The little knobs and buttons fascinated her. The teacher would scold her for fiddling around. What are you doing? You can't touch that. Complaints were sent to her parents also. But it would have taken a lot more than that to discourage Van Kirk's interest in technology. She built a computer using stray parts when she was just 13 or 14. And in college, when she entered college, she programmed a website that she ran from a server in her closet. And today she is a team leader for a top global tech company in Houston, Texas. So she has managed to make a living from her special interest, hasn't she? So let your child respond to his or her passion. It might be either trains or maybe animals, and so help them to turn that into a positive thing. Now I'm going to share a video of one of my students who comes under the autism spectrum. So this girl classifies under ASD, and she had behavioral issues when she came to the center. She couldn't focus on tasks and would interrupt frequently. But now she remains on a set of tasks for a longer duration with the help of a staff member, and this qualifies as a major milestone. She's had some success in alphabet recognition by using visual prompts, and you can see, once she finishes putting, we were trying to teach a sound symbol association, how happy she looks. So, understanding, embracing, and celebrating different ways of thinking and doing can release the true power of an autistic mind. I'm going to show you this video from Birla Sun Life Insurance, and all of you must be familiar with this. Which this video takes us through the life of an autistic child.
That's a lovely video that you are showing, ma'am. And I think we all can connect with it and we are getting a great insight into it. And but, ma'am, you're not audible enough. If your inputs, whatever your inputs are, you're not audible enough. It's a lovely video which is giving us an insight.
I have
But
not. I'm not speaking at the moment.
if we could get inputs from you, it would be wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? So, this in this video, instead of blaming destiny for his situation, the father is trying to rise above his fears and insecurities. That is what we can see. There's a positive relationship between the child and the father. In middle childhood, such children may develop a greater awareness and attachment to parents and other family members, but problems with social issues still continue. The tagline "Khud ko kar buland" means make your will stronger, raise yourself to greater heights, and take control of your lives. Courage, willpower, and confidence in your abilities as a parent will carry you to greater heights. These children are colorful, they are unique, and like the rainbow, they stand out. Thank you. What happened? We lost connection.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Thank
that
you, Joya.
wonderful and very, very interesting uh, session. You gave us an insight into what problems and challenges are faced by children with who are specially able. You spoke about your floor time therapy, relationship development intervention, naturalistic applied behavior therapy, and also your educational intervention for repetitive body movements or behavior patterns. So you these are just a few. Let me tell
Yes,
my dear viewers about a little about Miss Radha Tandon. As we all know, she is the director of the Prangan Education Trust, Baroda. Ma'am is also a practicing special educator with over 19 years of experience in the field. After her graduation, she followed into the field of education of special needs through FCEDE from Bhoj and diploma from Blackford Center for Special Education Needs Support, UK. She's been an honorary visiting faculty with GMERS Baroda. Ma'am has been providing IEP based learning at Prangan for special education needs children, assisted by specialized teaching program from Scott School, California, USA, and supported by a panel of members of reputed professionals from all required fields for a holistic remediation. She has also hosted many conferences at no cost to the people who have attended for all SEN stakeholders with highly reputed organizations like Khaitan and Company, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas Brotherhood, etc. Ma'am has also conducted workshops related to SEN field and also has been on a teacher training at reputed institutes like MS University, Shama Prasad Mukherjee College, University of Delhi, GETI, and schools uh, in Udgam, Billabong, Global Discovery, and many more. So we can see that ma'am is specialized in the area, and I think who could have been a better person today to mark the autism spectrum disorder and educational implications today other than Miss Radha Tandon. Ma'am is also very much influenced by a quote of Bacon: ambition changes into aim when we adopt it with a motive to fulfill. So I am sure my our dear viewers must have benefited a lot as they got into an insight, because in our mad rush and roar we hardly get time to delve into these sensitive issues that actually require our attention and focus. So, very relatable points made, ma'am. Very valid,
thank you.
and we are truly grateful to you for having taken out time and gracing the day with your valuable inputs. We will be very happy if you take a few questions from us, ma'am.
Definitely.
My first question to you is, what are the educational barriers that you think a student with autism spectrum disorder must be facing? Though you've already discussed these things, but that was in your presentation. If you throw a light upon it, I think we'll be very happy to hear from you.
Like I mentioned, like this girl whose video I had shown, when
Yeah.
she came to class, she would keep flapping her hands. She wouldn't just sit down in one place, and she would make sounds which would disturb others. And then gradually, with the remediation program, with little help from the other specialists, we helped her to settle down. And now she is able to, do small little tasks on her own with the help of a staff member. After the child is assessed, then we make the IEP based on the strength and weaknesses, so which help us to chalk out a program for them. And we also, whatever is being implemented at the center, we make sure that same thing is implemented at home also. These are small little things that are taken care of.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Also, what do you think are the many challenges that our teachers may be facing when dealing with autistic students, and how can our teachers help the students face those challenges?
So there is generally a resource room in the most of the schools where there are children with special needs, and there is a pull-out program also for them. There is behavioral therapy also for them, and we try and modify the curriculum according to the child's level, and we give them little support that either they might be a shadow teacher with the child, or a co-teacher will be helping the child out. The buddy system is one of the things that really works with them. And we try and give more of visual based learning programs to them. So, like at the center, also have children who are integrated with normal schools, but in the afternoons, they come to the center, and whatever is being done in the classrooms in school, we try and bring it down to the child's level and explain it to them. So, there's a whole lot of methodology that can be used. So that will have to be a separate presentation on how we break down the curriculum from them for these
Yeah,
children.
I agree with that, because no session can sum up the entire
Yes.
program, the entire view of the
So
speaker in a
yes,
nutshell.
yes.
But then, since we have the honor of having you with us this morning, I thought that it will be very uh, good if we could just get a little bit an idea into certain issues that educators may be facing while dealing with such
Yeah.
children.
So
Also,
like
we
in
would
the
like to
class.
know.
Uh,
Also, we would
Sorry.
like to know that what are the five main important ways of that autism can affect the learning, according to you. There are many ways, but what are the main five
So
ways that
see,
you think?
for each child has a different set of issues, na? So some might have more of behavioral issues. Some, like I say, come under the have Asperger syndrome, which is at the more able end of the spectrum. So they are like very good in some of the fields, like either maybe art or music, those kind of things. So I had a student, who would write essays, and they used to be like, he would use his imagination to write those. So they would be, totally different from what a normal child in a classroom would be writing. So, so it depends from each individual type, the kind of issues they have. Yes, they might have might be fidgeting around in the classroom or making sounds disturbing others. So generally we use fidget toys for them, or maybe even giving them something to squeeze while they're sitting in the classroom. There's a lot of small little things that help them out. Plus, main thing is the parents are not of an accepting nature. That also creates a lot of issues because we have noticed that.
Yeah, role
So
of parents is also,
yes, it's
I
very
think
important.
it is the most important, because as we all know, even in the case of normal children, the mother
Yes.
is supposed to be the first teacher, and the home is the first school for every child. And more so in the case of children who are, having this disorder. So I think our parents need to really wake up to this call, and then they need to be very much aware, and they should be ready to accept that yes, this is the issue that my child is facing, and they should be all geared up to give all the possible support and cooperation and the emotional help that a child needs at this time. And even the schools and educators must be absolutely trained in the special needs and should be well equipped to meet the challenges and to raise the children in a better way.
Yeah,
So,
one more
thank
thing I just
you.
wanted to add that besides teachers and educators, parents, especially mothers, also need a lot of counseling because at times at the center when they come in with the child, generally all these years I've noticed that the mother is generally blamed for producing a child like this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so they are very low on their self-esteem, their confidence. So we generally have sessions with the mothers also. Our psychologists or psychiatrists have sessions with
absolutely,
them to
absolutely.
boost up their morale, and that really helps with the child
Yeah,
also.
I think that's a very, very vital point that you've made. That mothers, as I just said, that the mother is the first teacher, and
Yes,
I think the mother needs to be psychologically absolutely tuned to the child's need,
exactly,
and a
exactly.
special counseling session, if at all mothers are not equipped, then a special counseling session is a must to make the mother feel what the needs of the child are and how she has to rise up to meet those needs.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank
We
you,
were
Zora.
truly happy to have you with us today, and
Thank
I
you.
think our viewers must be having some wonderful takeaways with them. So thank you, dear viewers, for being there with us. I also thank the other viewers who will eventually be seeing the program, and I wish you all the very best for the day ahead. Have a
Thank
wonderful day, everybody. Stay blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.